Alright guys, TouchComet here, back again today. The new year is very fast approaching indeed. Today I wanted to do a video on the best Call of Duty player of the last decade. Now this could be interchanged with best Call of Duty player of all time, of course, because Call of Duty really started being a thing for competitive scene back in 2010, pretty much at the start of the decade. There's also some interesting things where people say that the decade actually starts in 2021, because if you think about it, the first ever year after, you know, the birth of Christ or whatever was 1, so I guess technically the first decade should be AD 1 to AD 10, and then the next decade starts in 11, which would mean that we should have celebrated the new millennium in 2001, not year 2000. Some people say that. I don't buy it personally. I think if it goes to 2020, that should be the start of a new decade. That's my personal thought process. Maybe you guys have a different one, but yeah, that's what we're going with. Everyone else seems to be considering it the end of the decade, so we're going to do the same on this channel here. Wanted to talk today about the best COD player of the decade. We'll talk about the best Call of Duty as well in the coming days. So yeah, like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate to hear your insight down below. In my opinion, there's, you know, obviously I have my opinion on this. I'm going to go through several players today that I think are candidates, or at least go through the rankings from honorable mentions to the guys that are right up there. And I'm really favoring longevity today, right? Players that have been around a very, very long time indeed are going to be higher in the rankings than others that may be slightly less down in the best players of all time, but they've been around so long and they've done things from 2010, 2011 all the way through to today that really push them up the rankings, in my opinion. That's what I wanted to discuss today. I wonder how clear-cut it is in your mind as well. So let's hop right into it here. This is what Reddit had to say on the matter to do with some bots in the game like Mikner and Seacod. I thought this is a funny little comment. Wanted to start with some honorable mentions then. So this is Formal, and Formal often features on top 10 lists of all time. I think that is very justified. Up there with like Slasher and TP and these kind of players. You can also, some people put like Big Timer and Nadeshot into the mix, but I just wanted to say on Formal front, like, you know, his first tournament was late 2013, so in terms of overall of the decade, when there's been some players, we'll look at Clayster in a few minutes here, playing right from the very start, Formal doesn't really feature in my opinion, but yeah, those are some honorable mentions to get out the way. Rambo Ray is another guy that people talk about as well from way back in the day, but I won't discuss his results today because we're talking 2010 to 2019, we're talking longevity and talent and slaying power and leadership skills, I suppose, and impact on Call of Duty as an esport more generally, and you know, world championship victories, and we'll go on to that in the coming minutes. And so yeah, this is John. So, you know, let's start off here. John, I think, is, you know, he's going to be 7th pretty much on my list as we go through this. He's played from way back in the day, so many good results, an absolutely legendary name in Call of Duty, all the way back in Black Ops 1, playing with Assassin and FizzUp and Parasite in his first ever event, MLG Dallas 2011. Went on to Modern Warfare 3, had some decent results, then through Black Ops 2, won UMG Dallas at the end, but of course that season dominated by Farico Impact and Complexity, and he never really found too much success in the Ghost days, but, you know, he kept on playing all the way through to Black Ops 3, and at the end of Black Ops 3, late 2016, he was largely considered the best player in the game. Scump was considered the best player in the game for the first half of Black Ops 3, but towards the end, John was a dominant force on that Envy squad. He could use anything, the VMP, the HVK, whatever you put in his hands, he was going to be dominant with. They won the Stage 2 playoffs, they won the World League Championship that year, and even into Infinite Warfare, they had pretty good results in that Team Envy team. Of course, finishing up, coming second back-to-back at playoffs and champs to the OpTic Gaming dynasty that we will talk about a fair bit today. But of course, John continued right. He continued winning events, the Birmingham Open, which I attended in 2018 in the World War II season alongside Slacked Octane and JCab, of course, a name that we'll talk about in a second, and then still winning a tournament in the Black Ops 4 season. So honestly, a legendary player. Been around a very long time, at times considered one of the best players ever, of course not picked up for the upcoming Modern Warfare season for some interesting reasons. That's what I wanted to discuss on John. Let's move on to Aches then, Paddy P. You could consider this guy higher or lower depending, but in my opinion, a 2-time world champion, Paddy P has got to be up there, right? Especially talking longevity. First ever tournament way back in 2010 on Modern Warfare 2, would you believe, the national championship where he came second, and then we had Black Ops 1, then we had Modern Warfare 3, then into Black Ops 2 where things really kicked off for that Complexity squad. The absolute domination that they had from losing in the World Championship all the way through to the next World Championship in 2014. These number ones just speak for themselves, right? And yeah, moving through Ghost, Advanced Warfare, of course, going into the Jetpack era, Aches was still around, he was still relevant, he was still a force for upset victories against OpTic Gaming and the like, but didn't really have too much success all through the Jetpack era, apart from that Cloud9 team at the latter half, the former half even, of the Infinite Warfare season. But World War II, it started to turn around. Like, look, you can see these results aren't great, but it really speaks to the man how at the end of the World War II season, he came out on top of the World League Championship. There really wasn't many signs that this team of Aches, Apathy, Assault, and Silly were going to do much, apart from they came second at the Seattle Open, but even then they got mollywopped by Rise. Here in the World Championship Grand Finals, Paddy B comes up trumps and he does it. And again, in the Black Ops 4 season, not too much to talk about on the Envy squad, but, you know, he's managed to get himself into this Los Angeles Guerillas team. And in terms of, you know, a whole time from back in the day and Ghost into World War II, winning 2 World Championships along the way, Aches has got to be right up there. J-Cap is the next name to mention. So this is J-Cap's thing. He competed at the same event that Aches did way back in the day, coming 3rd place where Aches came 2nd at the 2020 Modern Warfare 2 event. And then, you know, here we go through Ghosts and, or through Black Ops 1 even. And in Black Ops 1, look at the amount of success. Like, J-Cap is a guy who's clearly at the tail end of his career now, but he was considered back in Black Ops 1 probably the best player in the entire game, considered largely just to be a dominant force on OpTic Gaming, stormed through Black Ops 1, you know, Black Ops 2 was pretty damn good as well, and of course going through many different titles here, Advanced Warfare, winning the World Championship again, and doing it back-to-back in the Black Ops 3 team. So undoubtedly over the decade, J-Cap's been a dominant force, and he's continued to be a very solid player at times, as we said, winning this Birmingham Open in 2018. So, you know, he's won championships all throughout the decade, 2-time world champion, considered probably, if this was to be like a 2010 to 2012, 2010 to 2013 type of gig, J-Cap would be considered probably the best player in terms of pure slaying power as well. Of course, the latter half of his career now, but he's done so much for so many different teams to bring them up to another level. J-Cap definitely deserves a mention. Here we go then into the top 4. This is going to be Clayster. Obviously a huge name, played from way back in the day, 2010. I think this guy is like the oldest person in the league, 27, 28, something like that. But yeah, first event way back in 2010, GameStop International 10K, and through Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3 obviously didn't have too much success. But into Black Ops 2 when he was able to join this Complexity team, then they went on the Dynasty run. Also a 2-time world champion, of course, because yes, he got dropped off the team before they went to the World Championship in 2014. He was on OpTic then. Of course, Karma came into the Complexity squad at the time that won this event. So he didn't get his just desserts there, I guess, but all through so many different titles, and Advanced Warfare comes up trumps finally alongside, you know, Crowder Attach and, you know, Clayster. J-Cap was on the team. Denial Esports win the World Championship in 2015. Then in Black Ops 3, we have this whole FaZe Clan run where Clayster really didn't have too much success. You know, he hadn't won an event in, 1,000 days, all through Black Ops 3, all through Infinite Warfare, despite coming so close in many different tournaments with FaZe Clan. They never quite made it, and at the World Championship, they came 5th to truth 6th. The World War II season wasn't great for them as well. You know, the United squad finally picked them up, and it took all the time through to Black Ops 4 for Clayster to finally win an event at the Stage 1 playoffs. Went on to win the World Championship as well on that United squad, so patience really paid off for him. And in terms of from the start of the decade, you know, winning championships, you know, the first championship he won was in the Black Ops 2 days, so not quite all the way back in the 2010s, but from start to finish, Clayster is just, you know, if you take the starting point and the ending point, Clayster's been a phenomenal guy across all those years and has done so much to evolve as a player. Definitely deserving, in my opinion, the top 4. The top 3 is pretty much as you guys would expect, but I want to say Crim6 is number 3, which is pretty interesting. Usually I put Crim above Karma in these kind of lists, just because, you know, the whole talk about total championships, slaying power, these kind of things. I think Crim6 has the edge in terms of slaying power across multiple titles, and in championships won, Crim6 is above Karma as well. But in terms of longevity, Crim hasn't been around quite as long. He came over from Halo in the Black Ops 2 season, played his first tournament in Call of Duty in late 2012. This is LAN tournaments only we're talking about right here. So yeah, clearly Crim6 and Karma Scump, of course, as we're going to get into, unbelievable talents. I'm going to put Crim 3rd in this one just because of the longevity aspect. But look, he hops right into Call of Duty, gets on Complexity, and here we go, baby. Like, the championship wins are just unreal for a guy that's relatively new to the scene. Within a few months, he's just the best player in the game pretty much. And, you know, Karma was largely considered the best player in Black Ops 2, but Crim6 was probably considered the best player in Ghost on the whole. Just look at these championship victories, like the dynasty of Complexity through to then the OpTic Gaming dynasty and Advanced Warfare. Like, this is truly incredible stuff. And as an individual player, he was on top of his game throughout a lot of this. Now, I guess in the last couple of years, you can say that Crim as an individual has fallen off somewhat. Of course, now he's on the Dallas Empire team. We're going to talk about a lot over the coming season and through 2020 and potentially in the decade ahead, right? Which is another very interesting question. Who will be the player of the 2020 to 2029 decade, if Call of Duty is even still around that long? But yeah, over the course of it, you have to say Crimsix is what an unbelievable player, especially given kind of the lapse maybe end of Black Ops 3 when they had these really difficult times through the end of Black Ops 3, not winning the World Championship and then having the poor start to the Infinite Warfare season and then dropping off a bit at Anaheim to come back and win the World Championship was truly unbelievable. But second place to me is going to go to Karma. I'm sure you guys will have your thoughts down in the comment section below, but here we go. From way back in Black Ops 1, yes, he started playing with Crimsix, late in Black Ops 2, but, the fact that Karma was part of another dynasty in addition to what Crimsix managed to do really does sell it for me. Yes, he doesn't have as many championship wins, but at the end of the day, he won the World Championship back in the 2013 season. 5 tournament wins all the way back in the day before Crimsix was effectively even playing Call of Duty. Every single dynasty Karma has been on. So, of course, he goes straight from this one into the Complexity Evil Geniuses era, winning the World Championship with them, joining in the latter half of it with the Crimsix team, then onto the OpTic Gaming squad, through Advanced Warfare, through Black Ops 3, through Infinite Warfare, finally winning the World Championship before the team breaks up after Seattle in the World War II season, where Karma then retires, comes back, wins a championship first of the Black Ops 4 season. So clearly an unbelievable player, well deserving, I think, of the number 2 spot. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give the number 1 to Scump, because this guy, just across all metrics, has been fantastic. If you're talking about the player that's been the best in terms of individual, but also longevity, right? He's been around since 2011, but played his first game in, Black Ops 1, I think, when he was like 15, right? The things he's done for the scene in terms of the YouTube space that he's created, the massive name he is across all of esports and Twitter and all of this stuff, that really has transcended Call of Duty esports more generally. He's been huge for our game. So even if you take that aspect out of it, in terms of being the best individual player in the game, I think Scump ticks the box. I got into Call of Duty watching his videos on YouTube, right? And this guy's been one of the best players forever. Black Ops 1, he was considered very strong. Same with Modern Warfare 3. Black Ops 2 was maybe like a top 6, top 7, top 5 kind of player. Into Ghost, he really started to step it up. And then when we got to Advanced Warfare, this was when Scump was pretty much considered the best player in the game, especially for the SMG role. Through Advanced Warfare, through Black Ops 3, the numbers this guy could put up with an SMG that no one else in the entire game could, apart from, Zoomer at times in Advanced Warfare and late Black Ops 3, John to some degree. And Infinite Warfare didn't really suit Scump to start off with, but at the end of the season, he was again largely considered one of the very best players in the entire game with how good he was with the SMG in hand. The last couple of seasons haven't been so pretty, but World War II was a difficult game to get into as an SMG, and Black Ops 4 once again winning a championship, and into Modern Warfare, we'll have to see how the Chicago Huntsmen do. So on the whole, from 2010 to 2019, I think Scump really does reign as the king in terms of all facets of the game. Slaying power, championships won. Of course, he's got his World Championship victory at the end of the Infinite Warfare season as well. Less than Karma, less than Crimsix, and less than Clayster, and JCap even, and Aches admittedly, but Scump, I think, on the terms of championships won and, pure ability in the game, with the role he plays, it was just honestly something else over this last decade. If I'm still around to make this same video at the end of 2029, who do you reckon it'll be? Will it be a player we've heard of today, or will it be a guy who comes onto the scene in 2022 and dominates the next 8 years? Is that even possible in the current state of the game? Who knows? But I'm sure this era of Call of Duty is, it's disappointing to see it come to an end in a way, but that's time moves on, I guess. Like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always. Greatly appreciate to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. I'll see you next time.